Lawyers, why do you regret winning a case? The case involved a little girl with massive disabilities who had been supposedly harmed by her caregiver. The caregiver worked for a state agency, and we were the firm that did all this agency's litigation. No one at this agency knew what they were doing, and the actual caregiver had no training whatsoever in dealing with special needs children. This was in a really remote area, and they hired the caregiver at the last minute knowing she wasn't qualified. The girl's disabilities were so bad that it would honestly be hard to say whether or not she was actually harmed by the substandard care. The worst part was how much money all this cost. The state spent nearly $100,000 modifying its facilities so the girl could get in and out easier, and use the restroom easier. We hired all these experts on disability law, medicine, neuroscience, psychology, psychiatry, etc. I don't know if you guys know how much experts cost, but it is routine for us to pay $30,000 or so for a report and a few hours of testimony in court. So the state spent a bunch of money before the case started trying to help the girl, then we spent a load of money defending the case. On top of this, the girl's family obviously had to hire lawyers to fight ours, so I'm sure they spent a lot of money too. Their representation was on a contingency fee, but they are still responsible for these sorts of costs, and they were poor as hell. I'm talking about scraping the bottom of the barrel poor. They were from a very remote area, lived in a bad house, and neither parent had a job. They pretty much survived because of the government checks that paid them to be their daughter's home health aide. Nonetheless, they certainly incurred a ton of expenses even if their lawyers were paid on contingency. Needless to say, we won at trial. When I heard the verdict, the first feeling I had was one of mild relief. It is important for the firm that we win cases that we should win. I had also spent a ton of time working on this case, so I was glad that my work had an effect. I turned to head out of the courtroom, pretty much oblivious to what was going on around me. I walked through the two sets of double doors to reach the hallway area, and the girl's parents were outside. As I said before, they are poor, somewhat unkept, and were somewhat abrasive because they were in a legal fight against us. I walked into the hall and these two strong, indignant folks had turned into absolute sobbing messes. The tall, broad-shouldered, goateed father was bawling in his wife's arms, and she was doing the same. It was seriously the saddest thing I've ever seen in person, and I will never forget it.